automotive industry of Nepal has become a melting pot of Chinese EVs, each one more extravagantly designed and feature-filled than the other. However, the Indian counterparts have been slow to the race, but they're not out of the game yet. And having said that, we have with us today what I feel is the most lifestyle-oriented and the most courageous product from Tata yet, the Tata Curvv EV. And this is the reason I say this is a courageous product. Because Tata has decided to give the Curvv EV a SUV coupe design. And this has polarized opinions of people all over. This is what I mean. So right now I'm calling my colleague to see what he thinks of the Tata Curvv EV.
Hello.
Swarnim,
हजुर
सुन न के गरिरहेको?
म अहिले जिममा
मलाई तिमीलाई एउटा क्वेसन सोध्नु पर्ने थियो क्या?
के
यो टाटा कर्भ इभी छ नि,
अ
तिमीलाई कस्तो लाग्यो?
के डिजाइन
डिजाइन
राम्रो छैन, मन पर्दैन मलाई त।
किन?
प्रोपोर्सन मिल्दैन नि त्यसको।
ल ल राख फोन। Well, clearly he's wrong because I love the design. It might seem a little bit over-engineered, but I think to stand out from the horde of EVs that they have right now, this was a necessary step from Tata. It looks modern, and you can tell that it is an electric car. And from my time driving it, I know that it is a head turn. Now, although the back end is a little bit busy, especially with the tail light that runs across and a lot of edges to it, it does look kind of busy, but I think they've done a very good job of bringing it all together. You'll also notice a number of design elements, like this sporty spoiler-like attachment, the shark fin antenna, but what you will not find here is a rear windshield wiper. What Tata says is, because it is a sloping design, the water will simply trickle down. What I think is it is just a cost-cutting measure. Now, despite having a sloping rear-end design, the Curvv EV has 150 liters more boot space than the Nexon EV. Come a little closer. You've got a total of 500 liters of space, which is more than enough, and you can still fold down the seats to a 60-40 split for even more space. And underneath, you have a spare tire. You've also got storage spaces here to store stuff. You've got hooks here that can carry 1 kg each, and you also get a V2L and a V2V function. The tailgate is electronically operated, and if you wish to, you can stick your foot underneath to have it open. Now, the profile is where the slope of the car is most evident, as you can see. The 18-inch wheels I think look really good, so do the wheel arches, but the piano black material is kind of questionable as a choice because these are very prone to scratching, and over time I think that could be an issue. You will also notice these flush door handles, but they're not electronic, they are mechanical, so you'll have to press on one side to have it open. They don't pop out automatically. Now, the front of the Curvv EV is very reminiscent of the two other Tata offerings, the Punch EV and the Nexon EV. You'll notice the slim DRLs, the connecting pilot lamp, which has a couple of cool sequences that it animates when you're charging the car and when you're saying goodbye to the car. What you'll also notice is this electronic flap for the charging port. This is electronically operated, and if you leave it open, it'll close in 3 minutes, or if you drive off, it'll just close in a little while. Now, I do have a concern with the placement of it. It's smack dab in the middle of the car. Now, while this might be a good thing when you're maneuvering into a charging spot, you just have to drive straight into it. It can be an issue if you get into a small incident. If you rear end someone in the front, you might end up damaging this part, and you won't be able to drive it around because without the charging port, your car is kind of grounded. So maybe the placement could have been thought over, but it's an experiment that Tata has been trying, and we'll see how it goes. I personally like the design of the Curvv EV. While it has divided opinions, I think this will appeal to the younger generation more. Overall, I like how it looks. It has managed to turn heads. Now let's see what it looks like on the inside. The interior of the Tata Curvv EV is almost exactly the same as the Nexon EV. The steering wheel is adapted from the H5 and the Safari, and it feels really good to the touch. The leatherette here is really nice. You get a lot of hard plastic though over here, but it doesn't feel non-premium. It feels very premium because of these leather inlets, these silver accents here. It gives a really premium touch to the car. Also adding to the premium feel is this piano black finish that you get on the center console and in the center part of the steering wheel. However, these are massive fingerprint magnets, and you'll find yourself wiping it off every chance you get. In terms of seating comfort, the seats are generally nice. You're bolstered in properly, but I feel like shoulder supply is really low. The shoulder support isn't all that great. However, you do get 6-way electric adjustment for the driver's seat, and you get height adjustment for the passenger seat. You also get ventilation for both driver and passenger seats, which I really like. Space though is, well, I'm a pretty big guy. If you're over 6 foot, 6'2", you will find that the roof kind of grazes your head. And with the sunroof with the sunroof shade open, I've kind of smacked my head here a couple of times. But if you're not too tall, the seating and the space should be very good. Should be more than enough. Now there's a reason I've been holding this cup for so long. Look around the cabin and you will not find the cup holder in sight. If you need a cup holder, you'll need to open up the glove box, and that's where you'll find a space for your cup. However, I don't think that's very practical, especially if there's someone sitting in the passenger seat. I don't want to be reaching over their knees every time I reach for my cup of coffee. And if you're driving, I don't think that's entirely too stable too either. And that, I think, is a big miss from Tata. The center console is really nice. You've got the gear selector and the drive mode selector here. And I also like the physical switches for the AC and for temperature control. Although everything else is touchscreen. And one interesting feature that the Tata Curvv has is the express cooling, wherein if you touch the button, the front driver window rolls down and the AC is turned up all the way so that all of the hot air is pushed out of the car and you have a really nice cool cabin. Now with the front done, let's move to the back and see how things are in the rear seats. Getting into the cabin is kind of a task. As you can see, I'm a little short on headspace. Now, I'm not doing it any favors by being this big. I hover around 6'3", which means if you're around my height, you'll also find that the rear seat lacks headspace. Now, this is mainly because of the design of the car, which has a sloping roofline. And while Tata have tried to given it a curved out area to give it more headroom, it's not exactly enough for me. However, the seats do recline to a more relaxed position, and that way I can actually find a slightly more comfortable position for me. But as you can see, the driver's seat is positioned to my driving position and knee room isn't all that great. But having said that, if you're not as big of a person as me and you don't take up as much space, the rear cabin should be enough for average sized people. Now you will be able to fit 3 adults in the back seat, although if you're very large people, 3 large people, it will be a tight fit. The center seat isn't the most comfortable and you don't get a headrest, but you do get a 3-point seat belt, which is really nice. And if no one is sitting in the middle seat, you can pull this down for a couple of cup holders. You've got AC vents in the middle and a 45-watt USB-C charging port. There is no map compartment in the back seat, which I think is also a miss because I find myself trying to fit things in the rear seat of the front passenger seat when I'm driving. So that would have been a nice addition. And you'll also notice that I'm seated in a slightly knee up seating position. That's mainly because the battery pack is really large and the floorboard is slightly higher. So under thigh support is also not that great. But you can still sit down, relax, and enjoy the sunroof when you're driving. On the dash, you get a 12.30-inch floating HD touchscreen unit by Harman, which comes with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity. The Curvv EV has a 2560mm wheelbase, which is 62mm more than the Nexon EV, and the 186mm ground clearance is ample for cities and highways. The Tata Curvv EV is powered by a 98kW permanent magnet synchronous motor that generates a maximum power of 133 PS and a maximum torque of 215 Nm. It is supported by a 55 kWh battery pack, which provides an RI claimed range of 585 km. However, the C75 test, which is an updated model of the MIDC, claims this figure to be between 400 km to 425 km. It can be charged from 0 to 100% in around 8 hours using the 7.2 kW AC charger. With a 70 kW DC fast charger, it can charge from 10% to 80% in just 45 minutes. In terms of safety, the Curvv EV is equipped with 6 airbags, electronic stability control, a tire pressure monitoring system, a blind spot monitor, all-wheel disc brakes, hill hold assist, an electronic parking brake with auto hold, and a 360-degree camera with a blind spot view monitor. Now what Tata have got spot on, and they usually get this right, is their ride quality. It's absolutely sublime. And despite riding on 18-inch wheels, the drive is very smooth. The potholes are smoothened out pretty well, the noise volume levels are well contained, and the drive is very comfortable. You can really enjoy your driving quality, the driving experience when you're driving the Curvv. Another important feature is that the Tata Curvv has a 50-50 weight distribution. That means the car feels very planted, very balanced, and when you drive it, you can really feel how well balanced the car really is. And at the moment, we're at the ring road where we're driving right now, and as you might already know, the speed limit is 50 km per hour, which isn't very fast. Now, when you're driving the Curvv, you can't really sense when you're driving really fast. It doesn't feel like you're going very fast. And that means there were times where we were really going past the speed limit. But then there's a solution. All you have to do is turn on adaptive cruise control, which I'm doing right now. So now we've set it up to 40 km per hour. We can increase it to 42, 43 km per hour. And now I don't really have to do a lot. It makes sure that I don't exceed that speed limit, and it senses the cars in front of it and adapts the speed accordingly, and it'll go up to 45 km per hour. If there is a car that decides to stop in front, it will automatically decrease the speed. Now there are people about to cross the road. Let's see if it senses it. That was AEB. Now, although I think the system could be a little better, because I think it sensed the people crossing the road a little too late and it applied the automatic emergency braking, which is how the system probably works. But it just goes to show that despite the system being made to make life easier, safer, you still have to be very conscious about driving. You still have to take safety into your own hands and drive properly. Now, the Tata Curvv is a fast car. You can go from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 8.6 seconds, and the top speed is at 160 km per hour. And for this segment, that's pretty fast. But you can choose how fast you want to go and your driving style through this rotary knob right here. So as usual, you've got 3 driving modes: Eco, City, and Sport. Now, Eco mode is the most sedate. Let's just switch to Eco mode.
Economy drive mode activated.
That just tunes everything down a little bit. The initial pickup is kind of It's not as aggressive. You press on the pedal and it gently moves forward, which is really great. It's perfect for the city because you're sipping on the battery now. The range is most efficient when you're driving in economy mode, and for the city it's absolutely fine. You don't have to like speed up a lot. You don't have to hit highway speeds when you're driving in the city, and you shouldn't either. And especially in stop and go traffic, the eco mode is perfect. If you really want some speed, you really have to press on the throttle and then it will pick speed up. But then if you are out on the ring road like we are right now, what I would do is
Sport drive mode. City drive
right,
mode.
switch
Activated.
to city drive mode, where it's kind of the middle of the ground. It's not as aggressive as sport mode, but it's not as sedate as economy mode. And on the ring road, if you need to overtake a car in front of you, the throttle response is instant and you can do that with ease. Now, if you want to make the most of the driving experience that the Tata Curvv has to offer, you switch to
Sport drive mode.
sport
Activated.
drive mode. This is where you get all 215 Newton meters of torque instantly. All you have to do is step down on the throttle and the Tata Curvv is leaping forward, and with so much vigor and speed cameras, which is one of the reasons why you would not want to do that around the city. Now, while sports mode is the most fun, it also has the most effect on the battery range. It'll deplete it significantly, so use it sparingly. Use it when you're out on the highway and you're in a safe spot where there aren't many cars or people crossing roads. That's when you probably use the sports mode most effectively and most safely. Now that we're on the topic of battery range and how to conserve it, we might as well talk about the brake regeneration that this car has. So it's got 4 levels of battery regeneration. First is level 0, where there is no battery regeneration. Then there's level 1, 2, 3, and it gets successively more aggressive, the brake regeneration. Now you can change the levels through the paddle shifters, which is a cool touch, I think. But yeah, actually it is actually a cool touch because you don't have to fiddle anywhere else for the brake regen. Level 3 is a little too aggressive for me, and chances are that your passengers will start feeling queasy after a little bit because the brake, every time you lift off the throttle, it kind of slows down very aggressively, and then that can cause some sort of nauseousness in passengers. So level 3 is the most aggressive, but if you're looking for a more natural engine braking sort of feeling, I would stick to level 1 brake regen.
The Curvv EV also comes with level 2 advanced driver assistance systems, including adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, high beam assist, and autonomous emergency braking.
Now, another really cool feature that the Tata Curvv EV has is the navigation that is displayed in the instrument cluster right in front of me. So I no longer have to depend on this screen. I have the map right in front of me, which makes life much easier, especially when you're navigating roads that you're not familiar with. Now, in terms of driving visibility, there are a couple of good things and a couple of bad things. The good thing is I am driving at with a very good vantage point. I'm seated high, that's how I like to drive, and I can see what's going on in front of me. The bonnet is clearly visible and I have a very good vantage point. However, the A-pillar and the outside rear view mirror kind of creates a very big blind spot, and you have to be really careful when you're driving, especially around the city or when you're making turns. And the second qualm that I have is because of the design of the car. When you look out the inside rear view mirror, you can't really see a very good view of what's going on behind you. You've got a very small window. Now, the Curvv EV only comes in its top variant in Nepal, and that costs 56.99 lakh. And it will be rivaling the likes of the Hyundai Creta EV, which hasn't been launched yet at the time of recording, and the MG S5 EV, which has been tantalizingly priced. You also have the likes of the Atto 3 and the Proton Mass 7. Now, while the Creta nameplate is going to cause a stir in this segment, I think Tata has plenty going for it. The design itself is something that I like. Now, it might be polarizing and there are going to be people who don't like it. I think the younger generation and many other people in the audience will like the design. And it was a very fun car to drive. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it drives really well, and the level 2 ADAS system kind of adds to the entire package. And Tata also has a very good service history in Nepal, so that should also inspire confidence in buyers. Overall, I really enjoyed the experience of the Tata Curvv EV. I think this is an interesting product from Tata, and it hopefully turns a new page for the company. Make sure you go to their showrooms and give it a test drive if you're in the market looking for a car in this segment. And that was our review of the Tata Curvv EV. Let us know what you think of the car in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel.